Okay, so I am not going to read you these 2 pages. I think we've got that. I know you don't want to listen to me for that long. But a couple of things I want to look at while we're looking here. Major pieces that I want to stick out to you. First of all, we are reading an excerpt from The Grapes of Wrath, and this is going to be from John Steinbeck. If you've read Of Mice and Men, this is your guy. But what needs to stick out in your brain is that we are talking about the Dust Bowl here. The Dust Bowl. We're talking about out west, what was happening due to those poor farming practices during the Great Depression. This story here gives you kind of a glimpse into what people were dealing with out there. So let's take a look at some quotes that we want to stick out here. As you were reading, we want to look at the conditions that people were faced with. Really looking out and seeing how we can compare it to what we saw in our notes. So we've got the wind blew fiercely and silently. That is going to give you the idea of the dust bowl, the blowing winds picking up the dirt. The rain began with gusty showers, and we're talking about how these conditions. At first, the dry earth sucked the moisture down. When we look at what happens when you've got super dry earth and a heck of a lot of rain coming down all at the same time, that's not really helpful conditions. And if we keep looking here, we are going to see where the parts that I like. If we look, then the cars wouldn't start because the wire shorted out. That's going to tell you that, again, the water's rising, causing problems. It can't all get soaked into the earth there where it might sound like we really want rain. We want to bring moisture out to the west. It doesn't really mean good things. So then we've got here, then sickness came, pneumonia and measles. So we're looking at what happens after the fact when we have standing water there. The hungry men crowded the alleys behind the store. So we're getting the idea of what's happening during this time period. If we keep looking, no work till spring, no work. And if no work, no money, no food. This is telling us that if we can't employ these people, if they can't get money, then they can't buy the very basic necessities. Even if the conditions get better, if there's no work, then we can't move forward. I really like this last paragraph here. The women watched, the men watched to see whether the break had come at last. The women stood silently and watched, and where a number of men gathered together, the fear went from their faces and anger took its place, and the women sighed with relief, for they knew it was all right. The break had not come, and the break would never come as long as fear could turn into wrath. So again, we're seeing people losing hope, this extended period of time where conditions just are not getting better. And the 2 questions down here, I don't need you to write a lot. I just want you to really think of what's happening here. How does Steinbeck use natural events to build the mood of the chapter? We really want to think about what the heck the mood is, and that helps you. That's the second question there. Are we optimistic? Are we pessimistic? This last paragraph here really tells us that we are not very optimistic. We are pretty pessimistic when it comes to even if the rain goes away, even if we're moving forward, even if the conditions seem like they're getting better, without the help of the government, it is not getting better. So when we read this one, we're really looking to be able to reference, if we see Grapes of Wrath and we see John Steinbeck, then we know we are talking about the Dust Bowl and the conditions of the West. Again, let me know if you have any questions. These 2 questions here, just a little bit, give me an idea that you understood what you were reading. I don't need big long paragraphs, just really wanted you to read this.